So I want to talk a bit about what I'm doing forward-looking as opposed to retrospectively like we talked about before. And so I want to talk about what I call the blue bubble. So this is a chart I found recently, and it's describing basically the market share of various computing platforms over the last 30, 35 years. And I think this is a really fascinating chart because it shows over here from 1975 through about 1985, you'll know you can see there's this very chaotic period of various platforms coming and going and lots of things happening. And I know a number of us in this room remember that time. And then we had an extended period here where everything was under this big blue bubble. And if you were back there and you were back here, you know that what it felt like to be working in the industry was very different back there than it was in here. And over here on the right-hand side here, you'll notice something very interesting is happening here. It looks like the big blue bubble is running out. Okay, now what's going on here? So some people talk about the emergence of what they call a post-PC era of computing. Now, I don't like that term at all because it's backwards looking, not forward looking. But what I do think is important to say is that there is some sort of new era of computing that happens only very, very rarely. And that the first 30 years or so, we had an era of corporate computing where computers were focused on empowering organizations, large corporations. During the personal computing era, we went through a period when computers were focused on empowering individuals doing specific tasks. And if something else is going on now, what is that? Well, I like to describe this as ambient computing, right? It's about computing. Computers are really empowering and enhancing our complete environment. It's the world we live in has become totally computerized. Think about it. This is a world, this is a computer scientist from Brazil. I took this picture at a conference where we're talking about not computers anymore, but computerized devices that are everywhere. There's universal access to information from everywhere. Computing is augmenting what we're doing, and as users we're saying, I'm just living in this computer-enhanced world. I want my stuff. Data, applications, whatever, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I want it right now. Okay, and we aren't just talking about mobile phones and tablets. We're really talking about everything, including, as you saw in previous presentations, our homes, right? So we're in a world of smart devices. So the thing I can walk slower, a bit slower now because I see I have plenty of time. So what I really want people to think about now, what I did is I took the same graph and I said, well, let's change the dates, the years down here and stuff. And I want us to think about that this probably describes the next 30 to 40 years as well as it does the past 30 or 40 years. And to look at where we are today and think about what it means to be in this sort of chaotic period again, where we're at the very first stages of a whole new era of computing, where we don't know how it's going to end up and what's going to fill in this blue bubble. There is tremendous opportunity in front of us, and we need to think about the ways, we need to be thinking in the ways we were thinking back in the early 80s, not in the ways we were thinking in the mid-90s and stuff. And so that's fundamentally what I'm saying is, hey, it's a whole new world, get with it. And in particular, to those of you that are younger here, but really to everybody, it's really, we really are now collectively creating a whole new era of computing, and this is really a much more fun and exciting time than we probably have had for the last 20 or so years. So let's get on with it and really own that we're creating something new now. So thank you.